Here's a question for you. What vehicle has the lowest running costs? Well, we know it's going to be electric, but it's not going to be a car, is it? I'll tell you what it might be. It might be this, the Silence S01 electric scooter. According to the people that make this thing, this bike will let you travel for 100 miles for only £1. Sign me up.
I know, it's not a car, it's not even a motorbike, it's a scooter. But variety is the spice of life, and I happen to think these things are pretty cool. Plus, this is no ordinary scooter. This one is electric.
Right, let's take a look around, shall we? It's not an unattractive thing, definitely not small. It's around 2 meters long, although that's good because it's got room for yourself as a rider and also space for a passenger on the back as well. But it is still quite narrow, which means you can zip in and out of traffic, no bother whatsoever. In terms of styling, I'm more into my retro mopeds, but this is quite contemporary and I can still see that appealing to quite a lot of people. And this color scheme, the green and the black, well, let's face it, you're not going to lose it in a car park, are you? It's got LED headlamps, LEDs for the indicators, and also an LED display on the dashboard. I'll come to that in just a second, but back here, the seat opens up and reveals a lot of space for either 2 helmets or a small weekend bag, for example. Loads of room in there for your charging cables, etc. You've got hydraulic shocks, disc brakes at the front and at the rear, a little hook for your shopping, plus it's got a side stand and a center stand. Let me demonstrate that actually. So the side stand is nice and simple. You can just lean the bike like that if you're in a hurry. And the center stand is a little bit more sturdy. Some of these are quite difficult to operate if you're on the slender, less muscular side, shall we say. But this one's really simple. Put your body weight on it and the bike pops up and stays in place, no problem whatsoever. Probably the most interesting thing about this bike is the fact that it's got a removable lithium-ion battery pack in the center. You can remove it, take it away, plug it in separately to the bike. Very clever, and I'll talk a bit more about that later on. Let me show you the dashboard now, as promised. So up here, you've got your state of charge, your range, your drive mode, because there's a few of those, and also a trip computer. Just below that, you've got a couple of USB ports down here, which can come in handy for charging your phone. On the left-hand side, you've got this very, very clever green button, which works as a reverse gear. Watch this. If I press this and turn the throttle, it goes backwards. Very clever. But what we all want to know is, how good is it at going forwards? Let's go.
It's quite good actually. It's actually surprising how good. The motor can manage a steady 7 kilowatts of power with a peak power output of 9 kilowatts. Now 9 kilowatts is not a lot of watts. It's around 12 horsepower in old money, but that's not bad. It's what you'd expect from a moped. Let's get the performance figures out of the way, shall we? It does 0 to 50 kilometers an hour in 3.8 seconds. Top speed is 100 kilometers an hour. That's 62 miles per hour. And I think that's pretty respectable for what it is. It's definitely in line with what you might expect from a 125cc moped. Actually though, it's better than a moped, isn't it? Because listen to it, it's silent and it's smooth, there's no vibrations at all. I hate the sound of mopeds, I really do, they're so annoying, but this thing's sweet and it won't annoy your neighbours, which is good. The brakes are quite interesting. It's got front and rear disc brakes, but where on a moped one lever normally operates the front and the other does the rear brakes, this one's a bit different. The left lever brakes both wheels at the same time, so there's less danger of doing a stoppie or a skid or flying off the thing. The downside is that you can't do skids. But the right lever, well, that brakes the front wheel and activates the regenerative brake system controlled by the motor at the back to help you brake and recharge the battery when you're going downhill or slowing down. So basically, right lever is weak and regen, left lever is strong for proper stopping. There are no gears, obviously. You just twist and you go. It's dead easy to control. The seats are quite comfortable and there's plenty of space for your feet, even if you're carrying a bag down there between your legs for shopping. The driving modes make quite a big difference as well. In Eco, the top speed is limited to 43 miles an hour, which forces you to use less energy and save battery, and the acceleration is, well, it's a bit weak really. In City mode, the top speed goes up to 52 miles an hour and you get a bit more acceleration. And then in Sport mode, that's when this thing unleashes hell. By which I mean it will reach a top speed of 62 miles per hour. But in this mode, it's also really responsive and accelerates quite nicely. I think I'll leave it here actually. Yeah, quite enjoying this.
So it rides pretty well. Now we need to talk about the battery, because like I said, that is the cleverest feature on this bike. Let me show you. All I do is I unlock the seat, open it up, put a lever under here, and then pull this up and yank it out, and there is the battery pack. It's a 5.6 kilowatt hour unit, which gives the bike a range of about 82 miles, which is on a par with what you'd expect from a normal petrol moped, and I certainly wouldn't want to ride further than 80 miles on a single charge. But the idea behind this is, even if you don't have off-street parking, you can pull it out, wheel it around and take it wherever you need to go, whether that be into a block of flats or up a set of stairs, for example. Although I will warn you, it's quite heavy. The bike itself is 111 kilos, and this feels, I'd say, like probably around 25 kilos on its own. But it is still quite maneuverable because it's on wheels, it's got a handle, and it's very easy to plug back in. Just line it up pretty roughly with the bike and then slide it in, and Bob's your uncle. The battery itself, ooh, nice lights, takes around 6 to 8 hours to charge up, which is pretty decent on the whole. It's a clever technological solution, and I can't see any real problems with this. Plus you get a workout. Nice.
What's also clever is the fact the Silence has its own app, which does quite a lot of things. You can remotely open the seat for some reason, set off the hazards and horn to help you if it is indeed lost in a car park, look at your GPS position, which might be handy for tracking down a stolen bike, and plan a route to see if the bike will make it to your destination. None of these features are essential, of course, but most are quite nice to have.
So, what are you paying for all of this? Well, the S01 will cost you just under £5,000, which is similar money to what you pay for a petrol scooter. What's more impressive though is the running costs. This might be one of the cheapest vehicles you could ever run. Silence reckon it'll cost you £1 to go 100 miles, and you really can't argue with that, can you? So all things considered, I quite like the idea of this. Obviously, a lot of us still need to rely on a car, no debate about that. I mean, I've got 3 kids, so doing the school run is not really an option with this. But if you live in a big city, I reckon these things make a lot of sense. It does everything a normal moped is supposed to do, but has the advantage of being quieter, less smelly, a bit greener, a bit cheaper to run. Yeah, for me, these make a lot of sense.